Hello guys, this is Doronsmovies and welcome to the first episode of the big Q&A series. This is what I talked about when I said that I was gonna split the Q&A series into this big edited one, actually small edited one, and a big podcasty one. Lately, I've been putting a lot of work into videos and editing, and that's fine. As I'm really all about quality or quantity, I don't wanna rush something out, but sometimes you kinda need quantity for the channel. Now, I feel like I've been kinda losing a bit of a touch with the community, as I used to answer all these questions and make all these discussion videos, so I kinda want to bring that back. So do give me some feedback on this series, as I plan to do it once or twice a month once I get a bunch of questions. Now, I don't plan to answer a bunch of super exciting questions, intriguing, just the general questions that I get on the videos, and I plan for these videos to be long, so you can really ask whatever you want. So this series is also going to be about the channel and the lore and the questions in general, so it's not going to be just a strictly lore Q&A, even though the lore is obviously the focus. Now, I know some people don't really care, which is why I will put the times for the questions in the description below if you only want to hear the lore, but the entire point of these videos is just to be long and listen in the background. It's not really to be super high quality or something like that. Also, you might notice a bit of a difference in the audio quality, hopefully not too big, because when I record videos, I edit them really heavily, and I also put a blanket over my head to get better sound isolation, so it might sound a bit different, but hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so in this episode, I won't talk too much about the channel, as I'm going to do something before the end of the year, sort of something I did last year with a poll, and you can provide your feedback on the channel and what I can improve, because that helped so much last year, and I think you could probably notice some improvement when you watch videos from the beginning of this year and the recent videos. So I will keep that discussion for later on, but I will mention a few things that I have. So obviously you might have noticed that I have been going a bit slower in the past few weeks. There have been very few videos, where sometimes I can only release one video a week, and there are actually 3 reasons for that. First is I had some tests earlier this month, then once I got back I was sick for a week almost, which was hard to record, but I did get some videos out. And also the biggest reason is I'm working on this big Christmas collab project. This is a big machinima video, and it is really, I mean the video is actually really short, but the process of making it is really long, so hopefully I should be able to get it out before Christmas, which is gonna be super stressful, so I will only try to get 2 videos out before then. I mean, along with this one as well. Now, I can't really say much, I don't want to spoil it because I'm working with other people, but it's going to be a big collab project, where other WoW YouTubers, including myself, will make our own specials for the channel, and it's going to be sort of a part of a series. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, but you should recognize some people, especially if you watch a lot of machinimas. Granted, not everyone is making a video, so you might see some people that are only voice acting, but I think most of the people you will be able to recognize. Anyways, to not make this much longer, as I said, this is not gonna be a lore thing, and I plan to talk about the channel. You can also ask me personal questions, but I wanna keep it sort of some structure on it. I mean, even though it is a podcast, I still wanna have some sort of a structure, so this is almost something like a recorded stream if I'm streaming and just answering questions. But yeah, for this video, that is all there is for the start. As I said, I will do a bigger video addressing the other stuff. I know most people don't really even care. It's not there's a huge demand for this thing. I mean, I know some people do, but most people here are just about the lore, so I will just talk about the lore. And also for the future and for this video, if you don't care, you can just go to the description and just click the time for each question. So let's just get into the lore. Let me see, what do I have here? First question is by King Terranus Menetil, and he asks, why can't the guys over in Azeroth destroy the Dark Portal? I mean, it would solve a lot of problems. And so, I know a lot of people think you could just destroy the portal, but it really isn't so simple. I mean, the portal, it's a rift between planes, or in this case, it's this big rift between worlds. So, if you destroy the portal structure, the rift would still be there, so there is literally no point in just destroying the decoration for it. However, what I kinda don't understand is, why don't they just placed like a bunch of barricades, mines at the entrance, like literally at the entrance of the portal, so when they jump out, they just jump out on a bunch of spikes. Obviously, I mean, that wouldn't stop the invasion, but that would kind of help lower the number of the invaders. I mean, they had a lot of time before the portal reactivated. They might not have expected the portal to reactivate, but I mean still, they could have done something at least, or placed like some mines or a bunch of barricades. There is like a small base with a few like barricades, but that really is not enough when you have like a portal that could activate at any time. Alright, so that is it for this question. Let's get into the next one. The next one is by Hiram Oni, and he asks, do you think that Hakkar the Soulflayer and anything about the Zandalari will make a return for Legion, since Hakkar is a large problem in the Emerald Dream and never heard from him since Cataclysm? Also, maybe a last resort for the Zandalari to join the Horde against the Naga. Alright, so I personally think this would be a great time for Hakkar to return. I mean, we have the Emerald Nightmare, we know he showed up there, and we also know that he is somehow related to the Old Gods. It is speculated that he's like a son of an Old God or some sort of like a distant cousin. He's like somehow related to them. I don't think it was ever really fully confirmed, but there are speculations about it. Also, this would be a perfect opportunity as the entire thing, I mean, the Naga related to the Old Gods, he's related to the Old Gods, and also Broken Isles. I'm not certain if there are actually trolls here, but there could be like this lost troll city somewhere underground, or maybe like Naga trolls, like underwater trolls. That would be kinda awesome. However, I kinda doubt that we will actually see him. I mean, it's a good opportunity, but because we have all these stories happening at the same time right now in Legion, we got the Burning Legion, we got Illidan, Dalaran, all these artifact-related characters, Sargeras, Gul'dan, and all the stories, and also all the new characters like Odin and the Halls of Elder, and just something completely unrelated. I just think that's so ridiculous. I remember when I streamed it, like the name Odin, I mean, they could have just come up with something better. I mean, it's Valhalla, Halls of Elder, and they just like named the guy Odin, obviously referencing the Norse mythology, like the god Odin. But they could have like spelt it, at least, I don't know, just made up some different name, not just like calling it exactly the same, just with a different letter. But that is beside the point. That's just a small complaint. I mean, obviously, if you played Wrath of the Lich King, you would have noticed that they also named the Pantheon and all those Titan Watchers kind of the similar thing. I mean, you had Thorim, Loken as Loki, and all that. So it is beside the point. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. So what my point is for this question, it might be a bit too much for Blizzard to add the story of Hakkar, as he is kind of a bigger character. I mean, there was an entire patch about him, and it could be a problem to add it along with all of the other stories happening at the same time. But if there is a follow-up expansion on Azeroth, I think it could be very likely, as he is alive, he said he will show up, so it's only up to Blizzard to just add him. Alright, the next question is by DTX Gaming, and he asks, do you think that our characters, before they're made, have any lore besides our imagination? Is it ever stated why we're so special to be champions? Or what happened when we were little baby humans or orcs, how we became our class in training? I find it an interesting question. Alright, so I don't really think there is much to it, and I think it is actually a good thing. I mean, I personally enjoy games like Witcher, Fallout 4 actually, because you had a backstory there, but games that have a backstory, I think that's kinda cool, but I don't think it is a good idea to do that for an MMORPG. Plus, it's also kinda impossible because you have all these people, like no one's really special, but you're still kinda special, so if they had a backstory for your character, it wouldn't make sense, because everyone's backstory would be that way. I mean, obviously you could ignore it, but it just wouldn't be a good idea. But I personally believe that characters should be blank pages, and that you should be able to write them and make their own story and decide if you want to be young, old, short, tall, if you want to be like a warrior, or a farmer, or a mage, or a scholar, or whatever. So I think the choice should be like solely up to you. I mean, it is a role-playing game, like World of Warcraft is a role-playing game, and you should be the one in charge and the one writing your story. Also, Elder Scrolls does this very well, even though it is a single player. For example, in Skyrim, you are this Dovahkiin, you have like some story, but you can also decide whatever you want to be. You can choose your personality, you can be a thief, you can be a warrior, you can be a mage, you can really do whatever you want, choose your race. So I think that is a really good way to go for an MMORPG. It is also kind of similar in World of Warcraft. I mean, we have all these titles. We were the commander in Worlds of Draenor. Now in Legion you have these class-specific titles, and you have some sort of a general sense of direction. I mean, we're gonna fight the Lich King, we're gonna fight Deathwing, we're gonna defeat Garrosh. I don't even know what we were doing in Worlds of Draenor. I mean, we went through the portal, there was some alternate universe stuff, but I think you get what I'm saying. I mean, there is a general sense of direction. Like, we have these expansions, we do this thing, but our characters are still like these blank pages, and you can shape your character around that, and you're not really limited to what you can do. Alright, so that is all there is for that. Let's get into the next question, which is by Ash Gamer. The third war was all about the second Burning Legion invasion, and the third invasion that will be in Legion will be even bigger. So does that mean that the next invasion is going to be the fourth war? Okay, so this is an interesting question. I mean, technically, if you're looking at it like that, I mean, there are actually 4 invasions, because the Burning Legion thing that happened with the portal, that's kind of counting as an invasion, although I won't really count that much of an invasion, but I mean, a lot of people are just considering like this Legion thing to be the 4th Burning Legion invasion. So I don't think it will be called the 4th war, and really the only reason why we have this first, second, and the third war is because we had Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, so that every sequel is kind of a war itself. So if someone played like Warcraft 1 and they were in the first war, they might want to check out the second war and what's going on in the third war in this new world that they made up. So I think that is kind of over with. I mean, Warcraft really started out as this very basic fantasy thing where you have to defend these good human kingdoms against these evil orc invaders that just want to destroy everything. So since then, the game has improved a lot more, the game has been expanded a lot more, the story is a lot more complex, the universe is just not as simple as it was. I mean, it's no longer like black and white, you have these good and evil guys. The best example of these are the orcs. I mean, the orcs, they used to be just like the evil people, but then once you get into the story, you realize that they were manipulated and all that stuff. So I don't think it will be really called the 4th war. I don't even know why I got into this discussion, but I don't think it will be called the 4th war. Alright, we have a few questions left. The next one is by Jonathan, and he asks: The War of the Ancients, Warcraft 3, the Sunwell incident, and now in Legion. Why did the Burning Legion think the find source of magical power, use it to open gate, have Sargeras walk through the gate, destroy the world plan will work the 4th time, after the 3 previous time that it hasn't worked? So obviously, I mean, we know that it is not going to work. If it was going to work, it would just destroy Azeroth, so that's pretty much with any game. I mean, if you have a game and you have like this world-threatening thing, you obviously can't just destroy the world because no one would play the game. However, I do think it can work partially, as in destroying some of our cities or killing off some of the characters, which is going to happen in Legion. I don't want to spoil anything, I didn't say which characters, but there are some characters that are going to die, so the Burning Legion is almost succeeding in some way if you look at it that way. But I mean, technically, if you look at it from a technical perspective, it can work, because the only reason it hasn't worked so far is because Sargeras has never even managed to actually get into the world of Azeroth. If he did, he would destroy the entire world. I mean, the first time he was the closest to actually getting into the world, but he was caught in a portal and destroyed. Later on, Archimond was summoned, and then Kill Jaden was barely summoned, so lore-wise, without the entire gameplay element, if Sargeras was actually summoned to the world and if he was in the material plane, he would be able to completely annihilate the world. However, there is a possibility that maybe the old gods would like fight Sargeras. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for the old gods to help us. I mean, they are evil and we're like their biggest enemies, but I mean, like, if Sargeras is going to destroy the world and it's going to destroy the world with them, I think the old gods might unite and then fight Sargeras. So then, once they're kind of battling each other and Sargeras is defeated and the old gods are weakened, we can just kind of get them back into the prison. I would kind of love to see that expansion, actually. Like, Sargeras gets summoned into the world, and then we have to free the old gods to fight him, and then we imprison them later on. I think that's actually... It's kind of a weird idea, but I mean... That's not even related to what I'm talking about, but technically the plan of summoning Sargeras into the world would actually work if the Burning Legion actually managed to execute it right. So that is all there is for this question. Alright, the next question is by Noah, and he asks: I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the Naga involvement in Legion? Ashara's definitely going to help being an antagonist in Legion, but helping old gods or Sargeras, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen much of the Naga in the alpha, but then again, I don't really play the alpha that much. I mean, even though I do YouTube and I want to know about the lore before other people, just because I constantly like working on lore, I sometimes just don't feel like playing everything in the alpha because that kind of spoils. I mean, a lot of the stuff is unfinished and you kind of see it, but Blizzard hasn't added like this epic event that they're gonna do on the release, so it kind of like it ruins the story once the release is, like, once the game is actually released. So I haven't really seen anything. They might be in the alpha, I really haven't seen much of them. But on the topic, I personally don't believe the Naga will be like a huge deal in Legion. I mean, they're obviously going to have some influence, we know that for sure, because there is that Naga witch on the website. But I don't believe we will fight Ashara or even see her, apart from maybe like a small appearance. And I really hope that they don't add Ashara and the Naga and like a patch, because that would just be something that would ruin her character. I mean, there is all this hype about Ashara. She was in the War of the Ancients. She was responsible for the War of the Ancients and for the changing of the entire world. And I think it would be just lame if we defeated her in like a patch thing where there's like one raid and that's all there is. I mean, she's not just some random Naga witch. I mean, it is Ashara after all. And I just don't think it would do justice to the character. So pretty much for the question, I think we'll see the Naga, but I don't think they will be really that important. Okay, so the next question is by Bruno500 and he asks, what do you think we should expect about the partnership between Blizzard and Random House and the new books, mainly Illidan's? Alright, so I actually commented on the video, but I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, this means that we're going to get more novel stories. I believe they also mentioned there's gonna be like a series for Warcraft, like a TV thing, maybe like a cartoon. I know they mentioned something and they're obviously working on the Warcraft movies, so I think Blizzard is sort of trying to make Warcraft a bit more mainstream. Sort of like something that happened with all the comics and all that stuff that's like super popular right now. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. For me it kinda is, because more people would know about the lore, but I feel like they would kinda compromise the actual lore and just kinda make it more like mainstream for the public instead of like caring about the story. So I am pretty excited, but I'm also kind of worried at the same time. For like the Illidan book, for example, I'm not really certain how passionate these writers are, like the one that's working on the Illidan novel. I mean, the Warcraft universe is huge, and all the writers that write the books, they need to be lore experts in order to write a book about the universe, and unless they have been following the series for a long time and they understand the world, I just am kind of worried that they might not be able to capture the feel and just the style of the entire story. I mean, the writers we had so far, they weren't like the best writers in the world, but they were pretty decent. In my opinion, Christy Golden did a much better job than Richard A. Neck, for example, when it comes to the style and the feel of the Warcraft universe, and also the character development as well. But I really kind of hope I'm wrong. I mean, it is just my concern, because I'm not really that familiar with William King, that is going to be writing the Illidan novel, and his experience with the Warcraft franchise, but I'm really hoping that he's gonna write a new book, like a really good book, and that we're gonna get like definitely like more stuff and like things just that have a better budget, and the cartoons and the movies and all that, and I think that will be a really good way for the Warcraft franchise to evolve. Alright, so we have the last question. It is by Fuchsia, and he or she asks, do you think the Draenei are older, if not the oldest Titanic creations? My theory on that is that Sargeras already knew about them when he sought more creatures to join his legion, and they are also able to reproduce with both orcs and humans, and they are in turn able to reproduce with the elves, dwarves, gnomes, Rykel, and Tolvir, meaning that only Titanic created or altered creatures can only reproduce with other Titanic creatures, because the Draenei, orcs, and humans are all aliens to each other, and they shouldn't be able to reproduce. My other guess is that they were so good at practicing the arcane magics, just like the other creatures from Azeroth. Alright, so I'm not even certain how much this is a question, but it is a really great theory and something I've been thinking about myself. I mean, how are the Draenei able to produce a baby with an orc, and then a mixture of a Draenei and an orc is able to make a baby with a human? I mean, we have Garona, she is a mixture between a Draenei and an orc, and then later on we have Medan, who is a mixture of Garona and Medivh, so those are all from different worlds. I mean, Draenei are from Argus, orcs are from Draenor, and humans are from Azeroth, so that is a pretty good theory. Like, we know that the humans are Titan creations, or at least distant Titan creations because they're related to the Rykel. I also have a theory, and I've made a video about it, is that the orcs are cousins of the ogres, and that the ogres are very likely to have been created by the Titans, so the orcs can also be some sort of relation to the Titans, or they were like a distant creation of the Titans, because we really don't know anything about the Titans on Draenor, even though we definitely know that they were there. So in that sense, an orc mixing with a human would definitely be a plausible theory, but if a Draenei can also do it, they must have some sort of common ancestry, because there must be some sort of a connection. I personally don't think Blizzard really has like this thing planned out, like they were thinking that the Draenei were Titan creations all along. If they say that, that's probably because they came up with it on spot, but we can't really use like similar logic that we would use in our world, because it is a fantasy world and it is made up, so they could just say they were able to reproduce just because we said so, there doesn't have to be like a great like an explanation, or there doesn't have to be some sort of a connection. So in my opinion, I think it is an interesting theory and that it totally makes sense. I think that Draenei could possibly be distant Titan creations as well as the orcs, and we definitely know that the humans are Titan creations. Alright, so that is all I have for this video. Now, do leave your thoughts on what you think about this. This was a bit shorter than the other videos that I plan to do, so give me some feedback if you'd like to see this series a bit more. I know it's kinda ranty, it's kinda a podcasty thing, but I feel like I can answer a lot more questions in the future. And if you have some questions that are not super interesting, but you would like to still see them answered, just leave it in the comment section below and I will try to answer them. So that is all there is for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel already, as it really helps out and keeps all the videos going. And thanks a lot for taking the time out of the day to watch this video, and see you next time.